So welcome, guys and girls. Hello, everyone. So if you're joining the class for the first time, there's a link which allows you to go back and look at other classes, and you'll see that one thing that we do is we kind of walk around the basic essential information that I think is important to develop a movement practice. We'll do that again today. And then you'll see that there are different themes. Sometimes it's flexing and extending the spine. Other times it's more about the feet and legs, or the shoulders and arms and so on. And today I was thinking that, so we will be moving the spine and the limbs, but I was thinking we could look a little bit at how we can be strong. And to make it very simple, there are two ways of being strong. One way is that the muscles pull on the central part of the body, let's say, the axis. And so we make an effort and we shorten around the effort to push or to pull or to lift those weights or whatever. We shorten. That's one way of building muscle or getting strong. And it's not a bad way. It's a good part of the body that it should be held together well. But another way of being strong and powerful is actually what happens when we lengthen the body. And you'll notice that there are some things that we're going to do now that if you aren't lengthening into the space and into the ground, you won't be able to sustain the movement very long. In fact, the compressive, oxygen not efficient and full movements are not sustainable. You can only sprint for so long, and then your muscles give up. You can only hold a weight for so long. But when we are oriented, it's interesting how long we can carry that burden, let's say. How long? So it links to meditation, because meditation is learning to see. So, okay, good. But let's just start. So we're standing, and let's just start with something we've done often, which is simply just to let the head release forward. Don't do it strongly, don't pull down, especially if your neck bothers you. Just let go. And let go just to the point where the shoulders start to curl forward and you feel that the chest is rounded. So just let that be and enjoy that. And so here I am, I've let my head go. And as I let that happen, feel into your legs and feet. So I've released the upper body a little, just enough to not be holding my head up. And I'm feeling into the legs and feet and the ground and the weight. And I'm just letting myself be here. And then without doing anything perfect, just let the head come back up. Your eyes can be closed. Notice when it is that you feel, oh, my head's on top. Not perfect, but it's on top. This is more or less where I put it, or where it likes to be. And then we let go of the head again. The eyes can be open or closed. And this time we let go a little bit further, so the shoulders really curl and the arms come forward and the knees bend a tiny bit. So release in the knees, and again, feel into the weight of this. Not the idea, not how it should be, just the kind of heaviness of this right now. Into the legs, into the feet, down the back. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. So seeing, you can think about just letting the lower back be soft. Yeah. As long as it doesn't hurt where you've got injury. And John, more that the shoulders could melt as much as they can without you judging them. Yeah. Feeling. Soften the knees, and then we come back up again. Don't rush. There's no ideal place. This does not have to happen fast. And then we're on top. And the eyes could open or could stay closed. It's up to you. And then again, we let go of the head and we just let those chest parts go. And the arms hang forward. And the knees release a bit. And we let the spine drop more down. You can go all the way down and rest your elbows on your knees. Or if you would like to be a bit more hangy, you can do it without resting the elbows on the knees. But make sure you release in the knees enough so that you're not irritating your back or worrying yourself. Yeah, that's lovely. Both. And let the head be heavy. Let yourself breathe or yawn, or if it's the end of the day for you, wherever you are in the world, that's different from the morning. Yeah, the breath, you can make a sound. Let it drop through. Let it drop through. And then again, we come back up over ourselves, not looking at the picture of something ideal, but just letting it unfold. And then we're upright. Yeah, the breath. How are you doing?
Headache, but yeah.
Okay, so let's come down to our hands and knees. So similar process, but different. We've done this also often in different classes. You're just on your hands and knees, and you're just going to let the head go. Let it hang. And let the spine hang between the shoulder blades and the lungs and the heart and the belly. Yeah, so you'll get quite sort of soggy in the middle of your spine. And really feel that you're resting into your hands, resting into your knees and lower legs. And then we're just going to let the spine curve the other way by letting the tail be heavy. The head is heavy, but the whole middle part seems to be being pushed up by the ground, let's say. So then you curve the other way. You don't need to, you can, but you don't need to use tons of muscle power. That's it. And then again, letting the layers go. Let's start with the belly button. Relax the belly button. Relax the layers of your belly. Relax behind in the muscles. Let the organs be heavy. And the whole belly world and spine world hangs down. And as it hangs down, the tail goes up. The head might go up a little. Allow yourself to breathe and yawn. Yeah, very nice. Sensing. Okay, and then we're going to put the elbows on the floor. Similar, now the elbows are on the floor, but we let the spine hang between the shoulder blades and we let the head hang back to the floor. We let the tail go up. We let the whole spine and the whole belly world and lung world and heart world just hang. Really all the way down and all the way up into your throat and your tongue, behind your nose, the breath, the hanging. And this time we're just going to lean backwards into the bum. You can see I'm doing it here if you've never done this one before. But we're just going to lean back. We're not going to go all the way back into child pose, but just far enough back so that the spine lets long. It sort of lets go into length. And the forearms and the hands Yeah, that's it. And this is this position is as important as child pose and dog pose if you do yoga. But like in those poses, it's important not to push, but to actually let the body, the ground and gravity do the thing that it wants to do. Is that okay? So just the breath, don't push, just the breath, and the head on the floor, and the elbows. Ooh, is that okay?
Wow.
Look at that. Look, it's like squeezing toothpaste out of your arm. Yeah, just letting, it's not horrible, is it? Yeah, just letting it flow up. Beautiful. Heavy head, letting the spine hang through. Yeah. Great. Great. So we release through. And now you can go back into child pose if that's comfortable for you. So you can walk back and just let your spine hang over towards the head and the tail. Okay. Okay, so take your time. We're just going to lie on our backs for a moment, but just take your time to remember that in the garden of the body, we could choose to begin with lots of shapes and lots of ideas. Lie on your back. Or we can do what we often do in these classes, which you could call cultivating nearness or making friends with nearness. What I mean by nearness is that we have an embodied reality which predates vision and looking at ourselves. Not that that's bad, but we have a proprioceptive, embodied, beautiful flesh and bone life that is not primarily visual, but our world and our languagey world and all of that makes it look like that it is. You know, that it is visual, but actually making friends with nearness means remembering that a huge part of your movement practice actually has to do with the way that you inhabit your sense of weight. I don't mean the story about it, you know, like these days I don't like my big belly, you know, that's just life. And that's just story. But there is a deeper weight reality that begins in your mother's womb and then becomes the leaving of the womb and the being held by the mother and father and grandparents and so on. And then slowly we begin to articulate our body and gravity on the ground. And we move these weighted parts, you know, the upper and the lower and the back and the front. So that's what we were doing. I chose to be bending forward and resting on hands and knees, but that's what we were doing. We were moving the body through its weightedness rather than looking at shapes. So now we're lying on our backs just for a moment before we do 1,000 push-ups and 500 jumping jacks. We're just lying on our backs. And again, that's weight. Weight pouring your weightedness, resting on these things we call back, which are not visual things. It's just a word for this miraculous, complex pastry, which is your back. In France, they have a millefeuille, the thousand layered pastry. Well, that could be our back. So see, you're a cake. I mean, I've always known I was a fruit cake, so it's perfect. Who knows what kind of cake you think you are? Yeah. Yeah. I'm dying to know if John thinks he's a scone.
Carrot cake.
Carrot cake?
Rum baba.
Oh, a rum baba. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So I won't ask you all to write what cake you are into the chat, because I think that would put us back into words. But just lying on your back, lying on your back, lying on your back. Okay, and then bend your legs, plant your feet, and we're going to do this simple movement that I think is very helpful for just tuning into the quality of the lower spine and its relationship to sacrum and pelvis. Because any deep work, a big part of that deep work needs that you feel safe down there and well connected. And it's the same for the upper spine, around the first two ribs of the spine. We'll do that next. So just bend your legs, and then we're going to do this simple movement. Feet are lovely and big and wide and breathing, and knees are bent, pelvis is heavy. And of course, if it's uncomfortable, you can roll up something under your back and then do what you need. Some people, the sacrum presses quite hard into the floor. That's uncomfortable. So do what you need. And we're just going to let the legs go to the right or the left. Do not adjust your feet. Let yourself remain asymmetrical. This is a wonderful torsional spirally movement with a bit of a back bend, which is very, very lovely for the lower back. Healing for the sacrum's relationship to your lumbars, for the organs on the front that may be pulling on that. And then for the way the pelvis accommodates to what your spine and sacrum are doing. And don't flatten your back. So it's biologically normal that your back will feel like it's making a little arch down there. You can take your fingers and just move up and down the spinous processes of your vertebrae at the back if you want. Just enjoy digging around and feeling, yeah. Yeah. The other hand can be on the belly. The belly is alive and warm and intelligent. Yeah, lovely. Big feet, your toenails are growing, your hair, the hair on your head is growing. Things are growing. Your eyelashes are growing. Maybe your teeth are growing. Yeah, and come back, roll through. You will notice that the pelvis sits differently on the floor. Sometimes as we let go, the legs begin to judder. So you don't need to stop that or feel embarrassed by that. Just you can let it judder a bit, and we're going to go the other way. We're going to roll through, roll through. Yeah. Again, you can touch the back. So when my legs go to the left, I'm not as comfortable as when I go to the right. And it's, I mean, I know that I have a very old injury on the left, down by the sacrum, but it's actually on the right that I feel all sorts of pulling on different layers. So I can just touch there, you know, dig around, touch. Yeah. But it's of wonderful value to notice the asymmetrical response to your moving. Normally we do the opposite, which is not cultivating nearness. We block out the sensations of asymmetry, and we're just looking for symmetry. And that is actually disturbing to the whole system. And it doesn't bring balance. You know, balance and symmetry are two completely different things. Yeah. We can become balanced in life, but we're never going to become symmetrical. Never, 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 never. And if you force it, you're just going to, two things could happen, or even both. You're going to get uncomfortable or injured, and you're going to become grumpy, which doesn't help world peace. So don't do it. So here we are, the legs have come back. Well, when you're ready, the legs come back. And I'm just stroking up and down my belly and chest. This is embarrassingly non-yogic looking, but I recommend. Yeah, and have a smile and a yawn. And your fingers can go up onto your groin and thighs, and down across the belly, onto the ribs, and up onto the throat, just a few times. It can be a big gestural sound, or it can be just a little and wobbling the head. And notice where you like to stop with your hands. Stop on my ribs, my bottom ribs, the costal arch, the arch of the ribs. And notice what you might be doing. I've just dug my fingers under my ribs. So just noticing what you do with your hands. Just receive for a moment what's changing. Don't analyze, just welcome. Welcoming. Welcoming is not fluffy and frou-frou and foo-foo. It's really precise, learning to welcome the thing we're about to walk over. In terms of other human beings, we call it listening. You know, the other person just wants to be listened to. They don't want to be sorted out and flattened and walked all over. Just listen to. So it's a precise art welcoming what your whole system is showing you. Okay. Going to roll over to one side, and we're going to come around, and the rest of the class is going to be horrible. Horrible. It's going to be horrible. How's your headache? Worse and worse? Or better?
No, that's better. Okay. Enough to do what?
Oh, yeah, head back. Okay, how are you doing, John? That was great. Well, you can always go back. You can always go back. Okay. Okay. Okay, first thing, if we're going to be on hands and knees, remember, if it bothers your wrists, you can do like this. Not like this. This just makes the radiocarpal joint, this joint between the bones of the arm and the bones of the hand, it makes it tighter. This makes it a wider angle. So this is usually more helpful, and also it softens the pad. So you can do like this, or you can come, if that's not helping, you can come down to your elbows. Okay, so here we are on our hands and knees. Yeah. Now, I just want you to allow your head bones and your tailbone to get long. So it's an imaginary, perceived, real thing. So I let my tail get very long. Maybe it's a bird's tail. And I let my head bones grow. Maybe they're antlers or branches. Yeah. So my spine, my whole column starts to grow from tail to head and from head to tail. And we need to maintain that exploration. And it's helped by softening the eyes. Try it. If you try to focus on something down there on the floor, you're going to lose your tail or your antlers or both. Why? Because your eyes are flexing, so you're going to flex down the front of your body, which is the body shortening on itself, what I talked about at the beginning. But if you let your tail grow and your antlers grow, and you get softer and more peripheral, like you're an eagle floating with its wings over a field, the whole thing opens up. Whole thing opens up. Okay. And then we're just going to let the right arm float long. Just the right arm. We're not losing the tail or the head. Just the right arm. The arm could be lower or higher. That depends on your shoulders and spine and chest. And then we're going to rotate the whole arm, not just the wrist. Palms up. Yeah, beautiful. All the way around. And you may notice that the arm can get longer once you start to let the movement happen. Longer. It's like as we rotate, we project the arm way beyond its length. Both ways, yeah. And then put it back down, and then just notice your two arms. Notice your two arms. Notice your breath. Say to yourself, oh, I wish I had stayed in bed having my afternoon nap. Or I'm so glad I came to this class instead, because now we're going to do 1,000 push-ups. The left arm takes off long. Let it be long, like it's growing with your antlers, and it's long connected to the tail. And you can float around a little bit, and then letting the whole arm rotate. Letting the whole arm, and as you rotate, what happens is you wake up all the structures, especially of the shoulder world, shoulder to chest, shoulder to back. And so the arm starts to have new posture. Yeah, look at that. And it's like your arm is growing your spine, and you're smiling to yourself because this is wonderful. And then the hand comes back, and just notice. And I'm just going to rock back and forward on these lovely arms and hands. I'm just going to go a little bit forward and a little bit back. As I go forward, my chest and throat and tongue and roof of mouth open and relax. I look up a little. As I go back, my tail is long. My anus relaxes, my pelvic floor, my sit bones stick out. Yes, forward again. Wonderful. If you need a break, get off your hands. If you're fine, you're fine. Okay, so the right leg is sliding along the floor. It's going back, it's going back, it's going back. My toes are on the floor. Now notice that you can drop that hip completely. Let me do my left leg so it's more visible in the camera, but you can do any leg you want. Notice that you can let that hip drop, right? So let it drop completely. The hip of the non-supported side. Yeah, the leg will rotate. Let it really drop, okay? And notice that you can lift it back up to some kind of middle place or more. It can go way up. Like when we do moon pose, way up. Okay, so come back down and up until you find a middle place that you like. And when you've found it, let the leg lengthen away off the ground long. The toes, the inside underneath of the toes is long. And again, you can play with up and down of the pelvis on that side. And also rotation of the leg like we did with the arm. And a bit of the leg could be very straight, the knee could be a little bent. You can try it different. You can flex the foot or point the toes. Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful. And lots of length. Let's arch the spine one way, arch the spine the other way, tail, antlers, leg, and come back. And just notice. Small toes. Nice, you woke up. Yeah. And now the other leg, so that might be your left leg, but it's my right leg, goes back. Lots of length, drop the pelvis on that side, lift the pelvis, play, play. Just noticing when you lose nearness. So when you start to distance yourself and look at yourself, maybe that's helpful, but make sure you come back at some point. Back and dive back into the river, and then the leg comes up and it's long and floating. Yeah, notice if you lose too much antlers or tail. Often we move the leg by squeezing everything around it because it's so heavy, but we don't need to. You can, if you just lengthen out the leg from antlers to toes, that leg will become very light somehow. Right, and we can bend the knee as we rotate. Wonderful. And we can arch the back one way, the other way. The feet can flex for a point. And the breath. And it can be a bit snaky. And the leg comes back. And you just want to feel how you are. How it all is. Okay, so let's like opposing leg and arm fly away. So right arm and left leg, for example. Oh, my kneecap. Right arm and left leg. Yeah, and now what we're going to add is just a small kind of water dragony movement that's coming from the spine, which is an undulationary movement of the spine into the arm and the leg. Yeah, you don't need to tell anybody that you do this. You know, nobody needs to know that you have a water dragon. No one needs to know, but there it is. And so the movement of the watery, wavy movement of the spine is as important as the leg and arm floating, because what you're actually doing is the belly structures are helping you make this movement. And then just change hands and leg and fly off on the other side. It may be quite different. Lots of arm and leg and waviness and sound. Yeah, we have a Finnish water dragon and a Scottish water dragon and an Italian one. Great. Great, great, great. Not bad, huh? Yeah. Okay, you're going to get a call from the Royal Ballet, John, if you keep lifting your leg like that. So,
Sugar Plum Fairy, ready to go.
That would be you, the Sugar Plum Fairy. Hooray. Hooray. Okay, so just take a moment, just the breath. If you're comfortable, you're kneeling, otherwise you can sit or stand. Okay, so here we go. We're going to, let's just lengthen back for a moment in squirrel, just to let the spine let go. So the tail, the squirrel's tail is up. The forehead is resting into the ground. Lots of space through the spine into the shoulders and arms. Really rest down into your arms, into your, I've bended my toes, do that if it's helpful. Okay, and then we're going to come forward. So we're going to come through and up and through. So don't have a picture you can be way down there, you can be a little more up, so you can be more hammocky or a little more structured. And your arms can be more or less turned out. Yeah. Now the right heel goes back. Open the back of the knee as you grow the heel and the head away from each other. Let it really open the back of the knee, and then see if it can open your lower back, the lumbar space. So it kind of wakes up the belly and lengthens the last 5 vertebrae of your spine. And then the knee comes back down, and then the left heel goes back. Again, the heel growing away from the antlers. I'm making lots of sounds, so you can also, not all the time, but enough that you're not holding and getting constipated. Heel going away from the antlers, lots of length, let it affect. So for my type of back, that's it, Sini, and yours, we need to let it pull and open up these relationships. Yeah, lots of length. And then the knee comes back down. And now we let the right heel go back and the left heel goes back. And we're long. And you can say long, long from heel to head, from antlers. Your heels are growing out of your heels. Yeah. And we come back and just rest back into child pose. Great. Right. So just have a breathe for a moment. Soft. 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 Okay, so that was a great example of, considerable strength being needed without you getting all bunched up, getting longer and longer. And when it's working, you can stay there for a very, very long time, up to 2 weeks. Some people can even do 3 weeks. So we're going to do that again, but we're going to, so in yoga, that's called plank pose, but it's a plank made out of some incredibly springy wood where Galadriel used to live, somewhere in the land of the hobbits. So a very springy, wonderful, mystical wood. So it's not a rigid, horrible thing. So we're going to go back into plank. And then we're just going to play with being quite low. So quite curvy down, not low, but curvy down. And you can go as far down as feels okay for you. Even if it's slightly pinchy, there's nothing terrible going to happen. Just don't go into places that don't feel right for you. And then we can go into more flatty planky. And then we can go into more buckle the other way, like beginning of going into dog. And then we can go back to the middle, and then we put the knees on the ground. Okay, so you see, you can be out in plank and move quite a bit. So this is what's going to happen. The heels go away from the head. I'm going to put my left foot to make a middle triangle with my 2 hands. So whereas before they lined up with my hands, now not my left foot, my right foot, I put it in the middle and I turn it onto its side. And then I put my other foot on top. And I reach to the ground with the soles of my feet. And leave your hands on the floor if you're used to doing sideway plank. Stay here for half an hour. Just lots of length. And and come back and put your knees down. And let's go down to the elbows for a minute. Palms up. Breath. 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 Sound as much as you need. Here we go again. Big hands. Heels growing away. Now it's my left foot. And my right foot on top. The soles of my feet reaching for the floor. Huge amount of length from heels to antlers. Not squeezing my tail. Lots of length. Open across the chest. Ha, 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 ha. Wonderful. And come back. Come back. And make your way via squirrel to child pose. Or you can stay in squirrel. That's really up to you. Or do a balance of both. So a little bit with the tail up. And a little bit with the tail down. And the breath, and just be heavy, just heavy, just heavy. Good. Good. Okay, so we're going to come back to that in a minute. But I'd like you just to lie on your backs, just for a moment, just to open up the arms and chest space. So lie on your back. Let's start with the legs straight, if that's comfortable for you, obviously, and a little bit wide, the legs. So palms up, long legs, wide under the armpits, wide the two legs from each other. And let the head wobble a little. You can be quite vigorous, big movement. Really the weight of the head, the heavy head on the ground. So you're not looking at the shaping of the turning or of the neck. You really let the head go as far as it can on one side and then the other. And you don't need to pick it up and force it even further. Just let it in. If it moves around, you can bring it back to the middle. Okay, so I'm just going to turn my head to the left. Now I can lift it up and, turn it a bit more if that feels okay. So I'm very open from my right cheek across my chest and down into my right arm and hand. Just enjoy that being open under the sky. And then I'm going to let my fingers of my right arm take my arm up. And I can make that rotational movement we made earlier so that the chest and shoulder and back and armpit structures are all awake. My head is still looking to the left. Yawning and and then let your arm drop through the elbow. Then bringing the head back to the middle. And just notice the differences that start to show up as you move and rest like this in different positions. Just notice. Sometimes a new connection is made. Sometimes an overly strong connection, a tension is released, and a whole new thing shows up. But it's lovely to be in a space and a spirit where you're just enjoying what's there, not so quick to be in the looking and the judging and the not feeling, that it's abundant enough and all of that stuff. Even when it's uncomfortable, it's interesting to notice it. Of course, some of us live with considerable pain, and so I don't want to make light of that. Then the head goes to the other side, really turning the head in a way that feels appropriate to you. Feel very long across from the side of the left face. Out to the arm and palm. And the breath and the yawn and the air and the weight and the ground and the length, and the awareness. And then we just let the arm travel up through the fingers, the whole arm. Lovely, spacious shoulder blade. And the arm can rotate at the wrist, at the elbow, or the whole arm deep into the shoulder structure. The breath, the movement, the safety, but just being here. And the arm drops through the elbow. And the head comes back to the middle. And the legs bend, big feet, and just for a moment we let the legs go to the right. Observing, always receiving. It's like you throw a pebble in the lake and then you receive the ripples. And we go to the left. Noticing, notice. It's different from self-consciousness. It's awareness. It's just lovely, basic, simple animal awareness. And I'm rolling over onto my side and coming up. Coming up, coming up. Okay, so I hope that wasn't too dozy, John. But so we opened. So I want to now, put some effort into what we opened, if you're willing. Otherwise, just lie on the floor. So we're back on our hands and knees. We're going to reach back with the heels again. So we're way up and long and planky. Yeah. And then, for example, I'm going to get onto the right side of onto the side of my right foot. And there I am. And then I'm going to balance on my right hand. I'm a little not vertical on my arm. That's better. And I'm just going to open up. So you need your 5 fingers and you need your flying hand and you need to get long. If you shorten, the whole thing will be horrible. And you may very well get grumpy and probably fart. And the whole evening will go wrong. It's a warning. We're going to stay here for another, oops, I fell over. Stay here for another hour. Look down, look out, Look up, breathe, and come down. You don't have to come down backwards. I lost my balance. Yeah. Hooray. 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 Lovely. Arms up. Open. Drop. Okay, here we go. Huge hands. Don't think of the effort. Stay in the garden. Huge hands. Heels going away. Onto whatever foot now, mine left foot. Reach with the soles of the feet to the ground. Lots of length. Come up onto that left hand. Opening, opening, opening. Yeah, open. Don't clench in the belly. Open down the spine. Count with me. 1, 2,
25.
25. In finish.
Oopsie, backsie.
Bhakti, Rukti, Bhakti. Coming down. Wonderful. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. And just lie on your front and stick something for your face if you want the floor or not. So long arms, head to one side. Let go onto the belly. Release onto the soft, breathing belly world. Heart and lung and belly world. Throaty world. And then the head, when you want to, turns to the other side. Use your cheekbone. Don't force anything. As we get older, we need to be careful about staying in a very deep neck rotation for too long. But you can use your cheekbone as a kind of marker, resting place. Lovely. Just before you come up, just make sure that you're as soft and as available through your belly as you can be. Just make sure, is there any place where I'm hardening? It can be out of habit, like tucking, sucking the belly in, or it can be because a place on your back hurts, but at least just acknowledge. Yeah, and then we're going to come up, and we're going to come up to standing. Yeah. So without much ado, we're going to step forward and lengthen like we've done before, but we're on one leg. And just lengthen away, do it completely, utterly, wrongly, rightly, off you go. And then we're just going to turn the whole thing open. A little bit, yeah. Open up across the chest. Don't try and get it right. And then on the other leg. Long, and then open, and you may balance and you might not balance, and it's marvelous. And just make a singy yandy sound. a step. Long. Long. I don't hear anyone else. Long. Ah. Open. Oh. That's it, Sini. Breathe, yawn, and sound. You can. Yes, and open. Wow. Okay. Okay. Okay, and we're just going to close and standing like this. If you're comfortable, let your eyes close. So it doesn't matter where you start, the spirally thing, if you did it in your hands or your belly or wherever. But once you get going, let your feet really participate. You see how my feet are rolling around on the ground. That's it. So don't block it at the feet and ankles. Yeah. Yeah, do it your way. Breath. And then come to rest slowly. Slowly. And again, noticing, receiving. We're just going to let the arms go up. Yeah, and wide. Cross the shoulders, opening. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Luke, for filming. And see you all next week. Bye.